AITA for refusing to attend my sister's wedding after she made me her invisible maid of honor. So I, 28F, have an older sister, Ava, 31F, who has always been the golden child in our family. She's smart, beautiful, social, and has a magnetic personality that makes everyone gravitate toward her. I've always been more of the quiet, responsible one, happy to stay behind the scenes and make sure things run smoothly. Our parents adore both of us, but they've always been more vocal about their pride in Ava's achievements, relationships, and now, her wedding. Ava is marrying her fiancé, Ryan, 33M, next month. They've been together for 5 years, and to be honest, Ryan is great. I was genuinely thrilled for her when they got engaged. When Ava asked me to be her maid of honor, I felt touched. I thought maybe this would be a chance for us to reconnect as adults, share some sister moments, help plan her big day, and maybe feel closer again. But that's not what happened. From the start, the whole wedding planning process was overwhelming. Ava had a vision for everything. Ethereal elegance meets minimalist luxury, as she described it. Everything had to fit that theme, down to the tiniest details. I was excited to help, but the role she actually wanted me to play turned out to be more of a glorified assistant than a maid of honor. She gave me a 12-page document outlining what she expected of me, including emotional support availability, event management, dress coordination, and bridesmaid behavior enforcement. She literally wrote, "Your job is to ensure no one ruins the vibe." Still, I try to be supportive. I organized dress fittings, booked the makeup trials, coordinated travel for the bridesmaids, handled RSVPs, and even spent weekends helping her DIY wedding favors. Every time I brought up ideas, she shot them down with comments like, "That's not really the aesthetic I'm going for." Things started getting weird when we discussed the bridal party outfits. Ava picked her dress, a designer gown worth more than my car, and then showed us the bridesmaid dresses, slim, champagne-colored satin numbers that, honestly, looked great. Then she turned to me and said, "Yours will be a different shade." She showed me a dress in an off-white color that was almost identical to hers, except it was deliberately plain. No lace, no embellishments, no veil, nothing. When I asked why, she said, "You're the maid of honor, so you should stand out, but like not too much. You know, in a subtle way." I told her it made me uncomfortable because it looked too close to her gown, but she brushed it off. She said, "No one will confuse us. Trust me." Fast forward to the bridal shower. I planned it all. Venue, catering, games, gifts, everything. It went perfectly until Ava made a speech thanking everyone, except me. She thanked our mother, her bridesmaids, her in-laws, even the venue coordinator. I was sitting right there. When I pointed it out later, she laughed and said, "Oh, I thought everyone knew how much you helped. You don't need public validation." That stung, but I let it go. Then came the rehearsal dinner drama. The night before, Ava pulled me aside to go over expectations. She said she wanted the focus to be 100% on her and Ryan, so she asked me not to give a speech. She said, "You tend to get emotional, and I don't want it to shift attention." I was shocked. I wasn't planning a long speech, just a few heartfelt words. But she insisted, saying, "It's better this way. I want everyone to feel relaxed, not sentimental." The final straw came a week later when I got an email from the wedding planner. It included the itinerary, seating chart, and a note from Ava that said, "Please ensure Emma," that's me, "avoids being in front-facing photos during the ceremony and dinner. She can help coordinate behind the scenes, but shouldn't be featured too prominently. We want the photos to reflect the bridal aesthetic, and her role is more logistical." I actually thought it was a mistake. I called Ava immediately, and she confirmed it. She said, "It's not personal. You'll be in some of the candid shots, just not the formal ones. The photographer's style is minimalist, and too many people in the frame distract from the look." I asked, "So you don't want a maid of honor in your wedding photos?" She said, "You'll be there, just not center stage. I need the photos to feel cohesive." I couldn't even respond. I hung up and cried for hours. It wasn't about vanity. It was about feeling erased. I'd put months of work into her wedding, handled every logistical nightmare, spent thousands on dresses, travel, and gifts, and she didn't even want me visible. A few days later, I told her I couldn't be part of the wedding anymore. I said it calmly, explaining that it was hurtful to be treated like an accessory. She accused me of being selfish and dramatic, saying I was making her wedding about me. My parents sided with her, saying, "It's her special day. Just let her have it her way." Now, the family is divided. Some relatives think Ava went too far, but others think I'm overreacting. Ava sent me a long message saying she's deeply disappointed that I'd abandoned her so close to the big day and that she'll never forget this betrayal. I honestly feel heartbroken. This isn't just about the wedding. It's years of being overlooked, dismissed, and treated like I exist in her shadow. I thought maybe this time I could step into the light a little, but instead, I was told to stay out of frame. So, AITA for refusing to attend my sister's wedding after she made me her invisible maid of honor. If you enjoyed the video, don't forget to leave a like and subscribe to the channel. It helps the content grow and motivates me to create even more great videos. Turn on notifications so you don't miss any new uploads. By the way, I'm curious, when do you usually watch my videos? While working, studying, or just relaxing at home? Let me know in the comments. I'd love to hear from you. Thank you for your support. AITA for refusing to apologize to my sister after she accused me of ruining her wedding photos. I, 29F, have a younger sister, Tessa, 26F. We've always had a rocky relationship, mostly because Tessa is, well, she's the kind of person who has to be the center of attention. Growing up, she'd throw tantrums if someone else got praise or gifts. When I got into college on a scholarship, she cried that our parents didn't celebrate her enough. That kind of dynamic. Anyway, fast forward to this year, Tessa got engaged to her long-term boyfriend, Max. To her credit, they seemed genuinely in love, and I was actually happy for her. She immediately launched into full wedding mode. And I do mean full. We're talking Pinterest boards, color-coded spreadsheets, and a group chat where every message was either a countdown or a demand. I was asked to be a bridesmaid, which I accepted, though I knew it'd be stressful. From the beginning, Tessa had very specific ideas about how everyone should look. She told us to avoid getting haircuts for 3 months before the wedding because she wanted uniform waves. She chose her dresses, pale sage green, and insisted we all wear nude heels, no higher than 3 inches. Fine, whatever. Then came the issue of my hair. For context, I have very dark, thick, curly hair that I usually wear natural or in a loose updo. Tessa, who is blonde, begged me to straighten it for the aesthetic. I said no. It's humid where we live, and I didn't want to spend hours frying my hair just for it to frizz by the time pictures started. She sulked, said I was being difficult, but eventually dropped it. The day of the wedding was pure chaos, as weddings tend to be. Hair stylists, makeup artists, photographers, florists, people running in and out of the bridal suite. The bridesmaids' photos started at noon, and Tessa wanted everything timeless. I showed up early, had my hair done, curly, pulled half up, and makeup applied as directed. When Tessa saw me, she visibly frowned. "Couldn't you at least have smoothed it out a little?" she whispered. I just smiled and said, "You told me to come ready for photos." "I am." She sighed and muttered something about the color contrast, but didn't press further. The ceremony went fine. I helped calm her nerves, held her bouquet when needed, smiled for photos, and did all the bridesmaid duties. I thought everything had gone well, until 2 weeks later. Tessa called me sobbing. At first, I panicked, thinking something had happened with Max or their honeymoon. But no, she was upset about the wedding photos. Specifically, she said I had ruined them. Apparently, when the photographer sent over the preview gallery, Tessa hated how she looked in any photo where I was standing near her. She said my hair was distracting, that the contrast between my dark curls and her light theme threw off the balance. She complained that I looked too bold in group shots and that the eye goes straight to me instead of her. I honestly thought she was joking at first, but she went on a full rant. She said she should have known better than to trust me to follow the plan. She accused me of trying to make a statement and steal focus. I laughed, not to be mean, but out of disbelief. I told her she was being ridiculous. It's not my fault that my natural hair exists. That apparently set her off more. She said I was being insensitive and that an apology was the least I could do. I said, "Tessa, I didn't ruin your wedding photos. I just look like myself." Then she hung up on me. A few days later, my mom called and asked me to just apologize to keep the peace. She said Tessa had been crying for days and felt betrayed. My dad, on the other hand, said Tessa was being dramatic and that I shouldn't cave. Since then, things have gotten weird. Tessa posted a long caption on Instagram about boundaries and people who can't support your vision, clearly aimed at me. A few family members commented supportive emojis, while others texted me privately saying she's lost her mind. At a recent family dinner, Tessa gave me the cold shoulder. When someone mentioned how beautiful the wedding was, she said, "It would have been perfect if everyone had just listened." I didn't respond, but it made the whole night tense. Now my mom's begging me to just say sorry before the holidays so it doesn't cause more drama. She insists that Tessa will get over it faster if I take the high road. But I don't think I did anything wrong. I didn't defy instructions. I followed the dress code, makeup guidance, and schedule. I simply wore my natural hair, which she never explicitly banned, though clearly she wanted to. A few friends who saw the photos even said they thought I looked fine, that it's just clear Tessa is obsessed with controlling her image. One of them said, "She probably hates that you look confident." Still, I do understand that weddings are emotional. Maybe I could have been more sensitive to how much the visuals mattered to her. But at what point does being understanding cross into letting someone dictate your appearance because of their insecurities? To add one more detail, the photographer, a professional Tessa paid a lot for, posted a few photos from the wedding on their portfolio site, including one with all the bridesmaids. It got tons of compliments. People commented things like, "What a stunning group," and "Love the diversity of looks." Tessa actually asked the photographer to take that particular photo down because it didn't fit the color palette. The photographer refused. After that, Tessa blocked them on social media and told everyone she'd be hiring someone else to re-edit the photos. So here I am, months later, still apparently the villain in her story because my hair didn't match her vision board. My parents are split, my extended family keeps asking about the drama, and Tessa still won't talk to me unless I apologize. Not for anything I said, but for how I looked. I'm starting to question whether I should just give in for peace, even though I know it's absurd. She's my sister, and I don't want a permanent rift. But I also feel like apologizing would mean accepting that I did something wrong by existing as I am. AITA for refusing to apologize for my hair and supposedly ruining my sister's wedding photos. AITA for refusing to let my sister and her kids move into my house after my parents sided with her. So I, 34M, bought my first house 2 years ago. It's not massive or fancy, but it's mine, and it took years of saving, working overtime, and cutting back on everything to afford it. It's a 3-bedroom home in a decent neighborhood. Nothing special, but it's stable, quiet, and exactly what I wanted. My younger sister, Hannah, 29F, has always been the free spirit of the family. She's bounced from job to job, dated guys who don't stick around, and has 2 kids, an 8-year-old and a 5-year-old from different relationships. I love my nieces, but Hannah's life has been chaotic. Every few years, she ends up moving back in with my parents, promising it's temporary, and then overstaying her welcome. Earlier this year, Hannah got evicted from her apartment. Apparently, her ex stopped paying child support, and she fell behind on rent. She called me crying, saying she had nowhere to go, and asked if she and the girls could stay just for a few weeks. I hesitated, but I didn't want my nieces to suffer, so I said okay, but I set boundaries. 3 weeks max, she needed to look for work, and she'd have to help with groceries and chores. Well, 3 weeks turned into almost 3 months. She didn't look for a job. She said she couldn't because she had no one to watch the girls. I offered to help her apply for assistance or remote jobs, but she said she didn't want to be stuck in some depressing desk job. Meanwhile, she and the kids completely took over my house. Toys everywhere, dishes constantly left in the sink. My groceries vanished within days. I tried talking to her multiple times, but she'd tear up and say she was doing her best, and I'd feel guilty for pushing. Things came to a head when she hosted a birthday party for her oldest without even asking me. I came home from work to find 12 kids running around my living room and parents I didn't know sitting on my couch. The place was trashed, and when I asked why she didn't tell me, she said, "You weren't going to say no? You love the girls." That night, I told her she needed to start making real plans to move out. She got defensive, accused me of being heartless, and said she'd never do that to family. 2 days later, she packed the kids up and went to stay with our parents. I thought that was the end of it, but apparently she spun the story to make me look like some kind of villain who kicked out a struggling single mom. My mom called me furious, saying I should have more compassion and that family sticks together. I reminded her that Hannah had stayed with them plenty of times and that I had my own life to manage. Mom said that was different because Hannah has children and I don't understand what it's like. Fast forward to last week. My parents called again, asking if Hannah could move back in with me temporarily. Apparently, she and my dad have been clashing. He wants her to get a job, and she keeps saying it's impossible with the kids. My mom thinks I have more patience and a better setup. I told him absolutely not. I said I already gave her a chance. She abused my generosity, and I wasn't going through that again. Now my entire family is upset with me. My mom says I'm punishing my nieces, not Hannah. My aunt texted me, saying she's disappointed in how selfish I've become. Even my dad, who's usually on my side, told me I could just let her stay a month until she gets back on her feet. But I know how this goes. A month becomes 3, then 6, and suddenly it's a permanent arrangement. To make it worse, my mom hinted that if I don't take Hannah in, they might have to move to a smaller apartment themselves because Hannah can't contribute financially, and their house is too expensive for just my parents. That guilt tripped me hard. I don't want to be the reason my parents struggle, but I also know enabling Hannah won't fix anything. I told my mom that maybe if Hannah got a real job, stopped flaking on responsibilities, and showed she could manage her life, I'd reconsider in the future. She said that was cold and unbrotherly. Now my entire extended family is gossiping about how I let kids be homeless. My cousin even posted a vague Facebook status about how money makes people forget family. I am livid, honestly. I didn't ask for this drama. I worked hard for my stability, and now I'm being treated like a monster for protecting it. What really pushed me over the edge was what happened 2 nights ago. Hannah showed up at my house without calling. She had the girls in the back seat of her car, saying my parents were too tense, and she just needed to stay for a few nights. I refused to let her in. She started crying, saying, "What kind of brother locks his own sister out?" The kids looked confused and scared, and that absolutely broke me, but I still stood firm. I told her she needed to go to my parents or a shelter. She yelled, "You'll regret this when you're old and alone," got in her car, and drove off. Now I can't stop thinking about it. My friends say I did the right thing and that boundaries don't make me a bad person. But part of me wonders if I went too far. It's hard not to feel guilty when I think about my nieces sleeping in some uncomfortable place while I'm here in a warm house. Still, I keep thinking I already gave her a chance. If I cave again, nothing will change. She'll never take responsibility if people keep rescuing her. My family won't drop it. My mom calls every few days to check if I've cooled off yet. My aunt said she's considering hosting a family meeting to talk about how to support Hannah. I know that's code for gang up on me until I give in. I'm honestly considering cutting contact for a while, but that feels extreme. I love my family, and I love my nieces, but I'm tired of being the only one held accountable while everyone else gets a pass. So, am I the asshole for refusing to let my sister and her kids move in again, even though my parents and relatives are pressuring me to do it?